Alright, well the other day the 2008 650i threw out a code on the dash and said that the fog light was out, and as you can see, since this is an LCI car, the fog light also runs the angel eyes or the halos. Alright, so if we want to see what the code is, we just put the key in and light it up, and you'll see right here, it's going to pop up in a second, right there. And then over here it tells you that your left daytime running light parking lamp has gone out. Alright, so that's the code, and it makes you kind of wonder why my halos aren't working. Well, we'll show you that here in just a second when we compare the LCI model to the pre-LCI, because my M6 is an 07 and it's got the pre-LCI lights in it, and we'll see just why when it says this one's got a fog lamp out that it actually kills your angel eyes as well. So we'll go up here in the front and I'll show you the difference between the LCI and the pre-LCI, so if yours goes out you will know which bulb you need to buy. Alright, so if you're trying to figure out is your car an LCI or a pre-LCI, there's a couple of easy ways you can check before buying the bulbs, because the LCI right here, this one uses the fog lamp, which is a H8 bulb, also to do the angel eyes or the halos. And so let me show you real quick. If you look down inside of here, right behind where the light is, you see the cover. So there's a little cover that has to come off, and that's where the bulb's going to get changed at. But if you look below that cover, there's nothing else down there. And we'll see over on my M6 that there's actually another bulb down there that runs the angel eyes on it. So that's one way, is if there's nothing below that cover that's going to come off here in a little bit, then you know you got an LCI. So another way to know whether you've got an LCI or pre-LCI is if you look inside of the lens, you see that hole right in the middle. It's on the side of the reflector. And if you got one there, and then over on this side there is another one up on the top up there, if those two holes are in the sides of the reflector, then that means it's an LCI type. If you have lines that go up and down in your reflector, then it's going to be a pre-LCI. So let's head over to the M6 and we'll look at the same thing so you can see what I'm talking about for those two. That way you'll know whether or not for the LCI you got to get a H8 bulb, or for the pre-LCI you got to get a bulb that's specific for the halos. Alright, so for comparison, this is my M6 and it's a 2007. It's still an e63, e64, e60, so it's still, you know, in that range. But it's got a little bit different because it's pre-LCI, because it was made before 08. So if you look down in here on the pre-LCIs, you can see right below the cover is virtually the same, but right below the cover, if I can get the light right, you see right there is an additional connection, and that's what's running my angel eyes or my halos on the pre-LCI. So that bulb's there for a pre-LCI, or that connector. It's not there for an LCI. So that's one good indication of which one you got and which bulb you need to buy. The other thing is you can do the same thing and look in the lens, and you can see, if you look inside of mine, it's got stripes up and down, and there's no holes over on either side of the bulb where that bulb is actually running the halos. That bulb is just a fog light bulb. So if my car gives a fault that says fog lamp, it's that one. If it gets a fault and says that the halo is bad, it's going to be the other bulb. Alright, so back over to the 08 650i, this is the LCI. We need to get these bulbs changed out, and I'm going to go ahead and change them both while I'm doing it, that way they match. So I'm going to zoom down here and get right inside this cover, and you can see what's going on. So this one is pretty simple. It takes the H8 bulb, and I also got a camera set up in the front so you can see that when I take the bulb out, you can see the bulb right here and what it's doing. So all we got to do is just push down on the little cover clip on top, and then we just slide that cover out and take it up out of here. It's a pretty tight fit. Then right inside of there, this bulb right here, that's actually the one that's running the fog lights as well as lighten up the angel eyes or the halos. So it's really hard to get that clip off with the bulb in there, but since this bulb is bad, I don't really care if I touch it or whatever, so I'm not too worried about pulling that thing out of there. So all we got to do, and you can see in the front camera here, all I'm going to do is grab it and I'm going to rotate it whichever way to rotate. So in this case it's counterclockwise. So we're going to rotate it counterclockwise, and then we just slide the bulb out. And so there we go, the bulb has come out. But what you can see, maybe a reason why I'm running into problems, is if you can see in the camera, all of the insulation is broken up really bad from where it got hot. So if I try to put that bulb back in there and that right there touches, then it's going to just short the thing out, it's going to blow a fuse, do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm actually in the need of rewrapping these wires right here, and we'll go through that a little bit too once we get the bulb out of the way. So there's our little bulb, and like I say, when you got to replace them, this gets kind of annoying. So let me get the camera moved up out of the way and you can see me get it out of there. But you can see in the front that now there's a hole in there where the bulb used to be. Let me zoom back out. So now all we got to do is get the connector loose from the bulb, and then we can have a look-see at our wire. So while it's still connected up to the wire, this bulb is bad, so I don't really care. So all you do is open up one tab on one side, open up the tab on the other side, and sometimes they lock back down. You got to get the little tabs opened up, and then you pull, and out comes the bulb. So for the LCI model, this is an H8 bulb, and it runs the fog lamp as well as runs the angel eyes. So I got my new bulbs, and I'm going to put on some gloves when I put these in because you don't want to be touching the bulb. So let's took care of this degraded insulation here that's going to cause us some shorts potentially, and it's degraded all the way down to the clip. So I got to do a little bit of work and get these wires back in good health, and then we can put our bulb back in. Alright, so we had to take a little break because I had to go and order a new pigtail for the broken wires that I got to change out. So if we didn't have our broken insulation on our wire, putting the light bulb back in would be simple. All you do is just wear gloves so you don't get the oils on the light, and then you just want to look inside this hole right here and bring your bulb in and then line it up so that the tabs line up, and then twist it back clockwise, and there you go. So now the bulb's put back in. The connector was already put on prior to putting the bulb in. You were careful not to touch the bulb and you'd be in good shape. But unfortunately for my case, because I got all those broken insulation on the wires, I'm going to actually have to take these lenses out, and we're going to have to fix that because we can't risk having it shorten out. So we'll have to do another video out on the channel, and you can look for that on how to take the lights out, which is entailing taking the bumper off and doing quite a bit of work to it, but it's necessary, and most likely, considering the age of the car, you're going to run into this too. So just be careful when you look at your wires. If they got any cracks on them, you're going to have to go ahead and get all that repaired, or you might short your lights out. So we'll be back with the other side over here, and we'll do it real quick just to show how that one's done, and then I will set up and make the video on how to take the bumper off, and then we'll come back and show the results. Alright, so to do the other bulb, it's virtually the same work, and we'll zoom down in there and you can see the cover. And so all I got to do is pop the cover off and take the bulb out and take the connector off. So you just push down on the little tab up top and you can take the cover off. And then down inside of there you can see the bulb that has to come out. So it works the same way. You just got to figure out how to get your hands in there. And you want to twist the bulb clockwise or counterclockwise. Counterclockwise for this one as well, and then you have to kind of fiddle with it to get it. So look back in the front of the car again, and try to get it oriented so it'll come out of there. And there we go. So now we got our bulb out. So we can disconnect that one and we'll be in good shape. Now these wires over on this side, you can see they're not cracked up or anything, so I'm good to go to replace this one. So let me go get another bulb and we'll just get this one replaced, and then all I'll have to do is fix the wiring over on the other, because this wiring still looks really good inside of there. Alright, so since the wiring's still good on this side, we can just change this bulb out. So I've got my gloves. I'm going to take the old bulb off. I don't need gloves to do that, but all you do is pop the two little side tabs loose on the old bulb and disconnect the connector. Like that. So there the old bulb comes off. So now we just want to replace it out with a new bulb. So this is where the gloves come in, because you can't touch these bulbs. If you do touch them accidentally, you can get some alcohol and wipe them off, but you definitely don't want to be touching that bulb right there. So because it's so tight in there, we're going to go ahead and just clip it back in. And so I'm going to clip it back to the connector, and then it's just a matter of getting it back in there, which all you do is slide it back in, and it's a pretty tight squeeze. My hands are a little big, it's hard to get it oriented. And then we just look back in the front and we line it back up once we get it headed in the right direction. You can see in there, and you can see where you are with the bulb. And you just turn it and lock it back in place. So I got it in there now, I just got to rotate it. So all I want to do is give it a little twist right at the end and get it to lock in. So easy peasy when you're looking in the front window there to be able to lock that in. And there we go. Alright, so with the bulb in and the wiring pushed back in out of the way, and this one looks good, so I'm in good shape over here. I won't have to take this side off. So now all we do is put the cover back on. It's got two little tabs, and so you just bring it right back down in there and line the little tabs up, looking around, see where you can get them. And once you get the tabs lined up, close the door back, and there we go. So it's super simple to change out. That's the fog light and the halo or angel eye bulb for the LCI. Not a problem at all if you don't have wiring that's gotten old and eroded. So I'm going to have to change out this one over here on the driver's side. I got to take that light unit out. This one was okay, and so we were able to change the bulb out, no issues at all. Alright, so we'll get set up, and I'll make another video on how to remove this whole bumper to get that light module out, and you might want to watch that if you ever had to change a ballast or something like that anyway. And then we'll come back after we got that light repaired and we'll show the results. So we'll be back once we make the other video. Alright, so after a little detour there, having to fix the damaged wiring that was over on this side, we got everything squared away. If you want to see the video on if you run into changing your bulb and you see that your wiring is all cracked and you need to replace it, there's another video out on the channel for that, taking the whole front off and taking that light module out, which is not a big deal. Sounds complicated, but it isn't hard at all. And it's out there. I'll put a link at the end of the video for this one so you can see it. But after all of that, we got our lights working again, bulbs changed out, harness is in good shape, and we're ready to roll again. Well, alrighty. Well, thanks for watching.